In this year's US presidential election, crypto is an open goal. The bar for appealing to pro-crypto voters is so low that candidates need only pledge to stop federal regulators from bullying them, and voila, they'll have one of the most progressive messages in Washington today. But the real question is, just how big is this goal anyway? Do US politicians need to appeal to crypto bros to win elections now? Or is crypto still niche enough for them to safely ignore us? Today, we have all the answers. So stay tuned to find out just how much crypto will matter in this year's race for the White House. Now, the outcomes of US presidential elections tend to be decided by very small numbers of voters in swing states. As such, whether or not crypto will play a decisive role this time around will depend on how much this specific subset of voters care about it. According to a recent column published by Axios, top strategists in both parties believe that around 6% of the electorate in 6 states will cast the deciding votes this November. This represents around 0.5% of the roughly 244 million Americans who will be eligible to vote. The other 99.5% either don't vote, always vote the same way, or live in states that are almost guaranteed to vote red or blue. So, our question should be less, what do American voters think, and more, what does this tiny fraction of American voters think? To help us answer this question, we can turn to a poll that Digital Currency Group commissioned back in April, entitled Crypto Attitudes in Swing States. The poll was conducted for DCG by Harris Poll, who asked a total of 1,201 registered voters in Arizona, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, and Pennsylvania for their thoughts on crypto. And if you read the takeaways from the poll shared by DCG and also by the Blockchain Association, you'll likely come away with a positive impression. For example, Julie Stitzel, Senior Vice President of Policy at DCG, said of the results, quote, "This data shows crypto is top of mind for voters in swing Senate states." Blockchain Association CEO Kristen Smith said that the poll, quote, "confirms what many in the industry have suspected. Digital assets have emerged as a significant issue in the upcoming election." Well, let's take a look at the poll results and ask just how significant an issue it is for the people who will cast the deciding votes come November. Respondents were asked about their general perception of crypto, with answers on a spectrum from very positive to very negative. 7% of respondents said very positive, while 31% said very negative. 25% answered somewhat positive and 38% somewhat negative. Overall, 69% of respondents viewed crypto negatively. This suggests that negative views about crypto are not only more common, but are also more strongly held than positive views among swing state voters. Another question asked respondents to agree or disagree with the statement, quote, "Crypto represents a new way towards financial security and prosperity." And the responses told a similar story. 27% strongly disagreed, 32% somewhat disagreed, 30% somewhat agreed, and 11% strongly agreed. This means that in total, 59% don't think crypto is a new way towards financial security and prosperity. And once again, negative views tended to be held more strongly than positive views. Later in the poll, respondents were asked to agree or disagree with the statement, quote, "Crypto is a major issue I'm considering during the next election." 50% strongly disagreed and 5% strongly agreed, 30% somewhat disagreed, and 16% somewhat agreed. As you can see, strongly negative responses outnumbered strongly positive ones by a factor of 10. And in total, for 80% of respondents, crypto will not be a major issue to consider during the next election. Or, as the Blockchain Association put it, quote, "1 in 5 registered voters in battleground states consider cryptocurrency a major issue in the 2024 election." Now, maybe this is a glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing, but when we take into account all of the poll data, it looks a little on the empty side. If there is a silver lining, it's the fact that crypto is still poorly understood. 74% of the respondents reported that they had never owned crypto, and 73% disagreed with the statement, quote, "Crypto is meant for people like me." This suggests that a significant number of voters who have a negative perception of crypto are not so much ideologically opposed to it as uninformed about what it is, who it's for, how it works, and why other people care about it. The negative perception of crypto may therefore be less entrenched, and we may be able to convert some of these people. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons. It will give a signal boost for crypto in the election and secure a front row seat for you next time we upload a video.
Block van der Chainhausen, that was a brutal game of rugby. You and the rest of the team must be hurting after that defeat. Yeah, look, it was so tough out there today, you know. Everyone put their bodies on the line, everyone stood up to be counted, but yeah, we're gutted not to come away with a win, for sure. So you came up against a very physical side who were up for a battle all over the park. Did the fact that they had the Coin Bureau deals page behind them count against you? Yeah, look, for sure, any side that has that sort of firepower backing it up is always going to be hard to break down. Any team in the world is going to want the Coin Bureau deals page in its locker, for sure. Those 70% trading fee discounts and $100,000 sign-up bonuses, they really seem to make the difference in the second half. Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, bro, we could not compete on that level, and when the other side were able to deploy those massive discounts on hardware wallets, then it was pretty much game over at that point, for sure, yeah. Now, Block, obviously everyone back home is going to be hugely disappointed with today's result. Is there any message you'd like to send to your fans? Yeah, look, what can I say, but they should check out the Coin Bureau deals page, you know. You have to recognise quality when you see it, so yeah, hats off to them, they made the difference out there today, for sure. Wise words to finish, thanks, Block. Yeah, all good, bro, yeah, cheers, yeah.
Now, speaking of converting people, this brings us to the star of today's show, Washington's crypto lobby. If you haven't seen our previous video on crypto lobbying, you can check it out here for context about what exactly lobbying is, how it works, and who the main players are in the US crypto lobby. Much like the crypto market itself, America's crypto lobby has seen explosive growth in the last few years. In a recent podcast episode, Blockchain Association CEO Kristen Smith described how the crypto industry's lobbying infrastructure has rapidly evolved from being a, quote, broken screwdriver just a few years ago to a, quote, collection of tools in a very full toolbox in 2024. Crypto journalist Laura Shin agreed that it has become a, quote, huge and, quote, well-organized force in Washington, D.C. To illustrate their point, we can look at Fairshake, the American crypto industry's own super PAC. Fairshake is not only the United States' largest industry PAC, it's the second largest PAC in the country. At the time of making this video, only the Make America Great Again super PAC has raised more money, with $178,560,000 compared to Fairshake's $177,880,000. As you might expect, the amounts raised by MAGA and Fairshake are so close that Fairshake has on occasion been America's largest super PAC. Fairshake specifically targets House and Senate elections and is not expected to weigh in on this year's presidential vote. This is unsurprising, as about $50 million of Fairshake's funding comes from Coinbase, whose CEO, Brian Armstrong, maintains that crypto is a bipartisan issue and is willing to work with pro-crypto politicians of any background. Although Fairshake's strategy doesn't include influencing the presidential election, its targeted deployment of massive amounts of cash to help elect pro-crypto lawmakers in competitive races will be no less important for empowering America's crypto industry. So far, Fairshake has spent around $70 million, including a $10 million attack ad campaign against Northern California Representative Katie Porter. Porter was an Elizabeth Warren acolyte and Democratic candidate in the California Senate primary, who subsequently lost her race. Now, Fairshake's financial muscle has ruffled some feathers, including those of one financial reform advocacy group that commented, quote, "A single, relatively small industry is literally trying to buy enough politicians to hijack the public agenda. It's pretty breathtaking." Yeah, newsflash. That's US government and politics 101. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, Anyone concerned that the crypto lobby is nothing but a bunch of whales trying to hijack the public agenda will be relieved to learn about Stand with Crypto, the grassroots advocacy group established by Coinbase. As another organization under the Coinbase umbrella, Stand with Crypto encourages its grassroots members to vote for whichever candidate is most supportive of crypto in the jurisdiction where they can vote. Looking through their website, you'll find endorsements of both Democrats and Republicans who fit the bill. Stand with Crypto claims to have almost 1.3 million registered crypto advocates in the US. We should note, though, that we were able to register and mint one of Stand with Crypto's I'm a Voter NFTs from outside of the US with no VPN or US citizenship, which suggests that the membership figure cited may include some people who are not actually registered voters in the United States. But whoever those 1.3 million people are, Stand with Crypto says they have collectively called and emailed US lawmakers more than 215,000 times. That is a heck of a lot of correspondence pressuring politicians to pay attention to crypto, and it casts doubt on the argument that the crypto agenda is being advanced only by a small group of lobbyists who can afford to buy politicians. Now, although the poll data from DCG suggests that American voters still have mixed feelings on crypto, industry insiders are insistent that this election cycle is different. According to Kristen Smith, the crypto vote is a real phenomenon now, and if the industry has newfound momentum in Washington, it's not just because the lobby is so well funded. She argues that SEC Chair Gary Gensler has done more than anyone else to rally the crypto industry in Washington. On his watch, the SEC has forced US crypto companies to spend between $1 and $2 billion on legal fees to fight vexatious enforcement actions, Smith says. Smith also recently spoke of an industry-wide, quote, realization that crypto companies, quote, need to spend money in Washington to, quote, stop the bleeding caused by the SEC. At the same time, if there's one thing that all individual holders of crypto have in common, it's antipathy towards the SEC, whose relentless harassment of the crypto industry in recent years can be credited with the nascent crypto vote that Kristen Smith describes. The notion of the crypto vote as a coherent constituency is quite new, but it has already caused some controversy in the crypto media. Specifically, an article published by Blockworks back in May appealed to crypto holders to not become single-issue voters, on the grounds that there are more important issues at stake in this election. The results of the DCG poll we discussed earlier suggest that many voters agree. However, for crypto natives and true believers, nothing less than financial freedom is at stake. And as such, the inevitable response to the Blockworks article was, why shouldn't we be single-issue voters? Now, whether or not you think voting based on crypto alone is a good idea, the existence of single-issue crypto voters would be extremely bullish for crypto. It may be the case that only 1 in 5 registered voters in swing states will consider crypto as a major concern when deciding who to vote for. But history tells us that collective action by loud minorities can exert enormous pressure on government, and the more single-issue voters there are, the louder that minority will be. The 1-2 punch of the crypto lobby in DC and the loud minority of the so-called crypto vote has led to a breakthrough in winning support from US politicians in recent weeks. If you saw our last video on crypto and the US presidential election, you'll have learned about a minor revolt by Democratic lawmakers against the administration's anti-crypto party line earlier this year. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and around 30 other Democratic Party lawmakers in the House and the Senate voted against the Biden administration to repeal SAB 121, an SEC policy that effectively made it impossible for banks to custody crypto assets on behalf of their customers. President Biden ultimately vetoed this repeal, but this may well be the last attack on crypto that his administration can afford to make. That's because Democrats are rapidly running out of political capital to keep up the anti-crypto charade, which appeals to no one in particular and leads the crypto vote right into the open arms of Donald Trump. And Chuck Schumer is not the only senior Democrat in Washington who has come to this conclusion. Just days after the Senate voted to repeal SAB 121, 71 House Democrats, led by Nancy Pelosi, rebelled against the Biden administration to pass another landmark crypto bill called FIT 21. FIT21 would give the SEC and CFTC joint jurisdiction over crypto, and whether or not this is a good thing is up for debate. However, the passage of this bill in Congress was generally received as a step towards much-needed regulatory clarity for the US crypto industry. Nancy Pelosi's support for this bill, in defiance of the Biden administration, suggests that she is not happy to sit by and let the Republican Party score open goals with the crypto vote. And, as a matter of fact, some industry insiders have even credited Pelosi with the SEC's U-turn on Ethereum ETFs earlier this year. You may remember that in the same week that the House passed FIT21, the SEC unexpectedly greenlighted 8 spot ETH ETFs, prompting speculation that the Biden administration was capitulating to a softer stance on crypto. However, Biden's subsequent veto of the Senate's vote to repeal SAB 121 poured cold water on this theory. If some powerful element of the Democratic Party was indeed responsible for the SEC's abrupt U-turn on ETH ETFs, it now appears more likely that it was collusion between Nancy Pelosi and her former senior advisor, Jamie Lizarraga, who is now one of the SEC's 5 commissioners alongside Gary Gensler. This, however, is pure speculation, and the Democratic Party's stance on crypto going into the election is now anything but clear. All we know is that senior Democrats are rebelling against the White House, and the supposedly independent SEC has been acting suspiciously out of character lately. But if the Democratic Party line now appears blurry, the Republican line could not be clearer. Donald Trump has looked at the crypto vote and seen the open goal. Whether or not the crypto vote will be decisive remains to be seen, but Trump has made it clear that he thinks this is a constituency worth appealing to. Now, while president, Trump was known for occasionally bashing crypto. He allegedly told his own Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, to, quote, go after Bitcoin. Mnuchin responded with a failed attempt to KYC all self-hosted wallets, which would have forced crypto companies to verify every counterparty to their users' crypto transactions before a transfer could take place. Meanwhile, Trump's own son-in-law and special advisor, Jared Kushner, wanted to explore developing a CBDC for the United States. But at the same time, Donald Trump also has a history of stacking ETH and selling NFTs of his own image. So, when it comes to crypto, Trump's historical record has been rather mixed. However, this time around, Trump has decided to lean into crypto and lean hard. So far this year, he's called for all future Bitcoin mining to take place in the United States, appointed Bitcoin holder J.D. Vance as his running mate, and won the endorsement of crypto industry bigwigs like Masari CEO Ryan Selkis, and also Dogecoin fan Elon Musk. Trump has been publicly pro-crypto for only around 2 months now, but his rhetoric has come a long way. Back in May, it was, quote,
if you're in favor of crypto, you better vote for Trump.
It's now July, and this has evolved into,
I will support the right to self-custody. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
And all of this is before his scheduled speech at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Tennessee this week. As it stands, Trump has no visible competition for the crypto vote, and he seems to be running victory laps around this constituency. The 2024 election cycle in the United States is getting stranger and stranger. First, there was the brutal debate that derailed Joe Biden's re-election campaign. Then there was the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, miraculously captured in one of the most potent photographs ever taken during a US presidential election, or any election for that matter. Then there was Biden's immaculately timed illness and his dropping out of the race on the 21st of July. But amidst all of this, one thing remains unchanged, and that is the maths, as we like to call it in the UK. As usual, the leader of the United States will ultimately be decided by swing voters in swing states, who make up a tiny fraction of the registered voters in the US population. As we've seen, recent poll data suggests that most of these people don't seem to think very much of crypto, but neither do they understand it very well. This lack of understanding suggests that if they vote for a candidate who happens to be anti-crypto, it'll probably not be because of that particular stance. Meanwhile, the so-called crypto vote is being manifested by an extremely well-resourced crypto lobby whose noisy constituents have successfully caused Donald Trump to make crypto a recurring and increasingly major theme in his electoral campaign. This is likely to create a feedback loop, where Trump talking about crypto generates more interest in it and solidifies its status as a major issue in US politics. The more attention crypto receives, the harder it will be for US politicians to ignore it, dismiss it as a scam, or just hope that it will go away. Now, crypto may not be the issue that decides the eventual victor, but it has never featured so prominently in a presidential election before. That alone is cause for celebration, and we should seek to build upon crypto's newfound momentum in Washington. Whichever side wins in November, it looks as though the US crypto industry can finally look forward to seeing the end of a very dark tunnel that it has been in for far too long. Right, that's enough politicking for one video. If you think we missed anything, be sure to let us know about it in the comments. If you want to manifest the crypto vote in the US, then go ahead and smash that like, subscribe, and notification bell. It'll help spread the word and keep you first in line for the next installment of our election coverage. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Guy, over and out.